Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I have a card for Tuesdays with Tupelo where I show you some cards that are a project that I made with my design team package from Tupelo Designs LLC. I got a lot of requests to show the WPlus9 Starry backdrops die and the Wilted Violet Distress ink, and I'll also be showing the Couture Creations Santa die that I showed in my design team package. For today's card, I wanted to show something that was pretty clean and simple, and you could make multiple cards. So you could use it for mass-producing Christmas cards, perhaps, and just sort of change up the colors to suit a particular recipient. So I started by die cutting the WPlus9 Starry backdrops die in the center. It doesn't cut out the rectangle shape, but instead just cuts out the stars and also debosses some stars onto there. So an emboss is when the, or embossing is when the paper is raised, but in the debossing the paper is a little bit sunken in and it's all in the star shapes there. And the distress ink is really going to bring that out. This is the, this video was originally recorded on Periscope, and so you'll notice it's not as zoomed in as some of the other videos that I show, but I know a lot of people requested to see what I'm doing on Periscope shared again over here on YouTube. So I hope that you can get enough detail out of this. I am going to mask off some white areas because I do want to create a border. And at this point I wasn't quite sure how I would finish off the card, but I did think that it would make the distress ink pop to have that white. So I'm taking some simple masking tape that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I'm making it a little bit less sticky by rubbing it on my arm, but you could also put it on your clothing or any sort of fabric surface, and that will just take off a little bit of the stickiness. There are a variety of different masking mediums available out there. Like people recommend post-it note tape, which I imagine wouldn't rip up your paper. It might be a great idea, but it's definitely a little bit more expensive. And so it kind of like balance it out with how much you use things, the cost effectiveness of it, and that sort of thing. But if you are, working with a cheap painter's tape, that is one way to make it rip up a little bit less. I really wanted to show the brand new Wilted Violet Distress ink because I think that this purple color is pretty unique to the palette. I really like purple, as I've mentioned before, and you don't always find a lot of purple products out there, so I was happy to see this new color. And I really like the seedless preserves, but this Wilted Violet is quite a bit different. And I really love the way that it looks with the Mermaid Lagoon. I've wound up using this color combination again because I really like the way that it looked together. And they're both very bright colors, so they look nice together, but also they blend really well. The blended color reminds me a little bit of the Chip Sapphire, which is kind of like a purpley blue, and so you can sort of get all three of those colors together by blending them. When you're using the distress inks, be sure to start with a light touch, because as I've mentioned before, you can always add more color, but it's much harder to take it away. So, start light, and then as you want more color, build it up. But I know a lot of people say they have trouble with the blending, and so that's definitely one recommendation. And I also recommend actually buying the genuine Tim Holtz tool, as makeup sponges do not blend as well. So once I had the distress ink in a way that I found pleasing, I wanted to add a little bit of shimmer for this night sky. I particularly like the way that the distress ink looks over the debossed images, and it really kind of brings out those stars. And to bring some shimmer, I have this Perfect Pearl spray in blue, and I hold it about 6 to 12 inches above the paper so that I get a really fine mist. I find that if you hold it too close, you get real big pools of color, and that's not what I was interested in. I wanted it to be really fine, as I had said. So when you are spraying with the Perfect Pearls, be sure that everything is covered. The white space was thin enough that my tape completely covered it, but say you were leaving a larger amount of white space, for example, you might just want to have a little bit like of some paper covering it or something as well, because that Perfect Pearl spray will seep under a lot more easily than some other mediums like distress ink. So I'm trying to kind of show you what the shimmer looks like, and I want to completely dry this because I don't want to spread anything. I really want to keep that clean and simple look. I decided in the end to put a black background instead, although at one point I was thinking maybe I would put that really lightly misted blue background behind it. I have this die from Couture Creations, which I picked up at Tupelo Designs. It's a new die company to Tupelo, and they make some really beautiful, intricate dies. This particular one is from the Silent Night collection, and it's called On Blitzen. I have seen dies like this before with Santa and his sleigh, but this one I was particularly impressed by because it can fit on the card in either direction. You can use it for landscape cards or portrait cards. My mom actually has a similar die, but hers can only be used when you're using the card in that landscape mode. And since dies are, a little bit pricier of an item, since you're getting just the one image, I think that it's important that they're versatile, and these kind of fit that bill. So I recommend checking out this collection. They have some really nice Christmas ones going. And to balance out that silhouette, the black silhouette there, I wanted to have a word die as well, and so I chose this one from WPlus9, the Merry and Joy stamp set and its coordinating dies. You can, of course, stamp out the large words, or you can die cut them, and then you can coordinate the die cuts with the smaller sentiment stamps. So I decide that I will stamp the Christmas, but put the Merry in the black cardstock again, just to kind of balance those two out. I like having that versatility, and it's a relatively inexpensive set that I think you'd find that you would wind up using a lot to create some quick Christmas cards. So I'm going to stamp the Christmas underneath in that white space. I know that I'm going to trim up a little bit, so I want to make sure it's right close to the edge. And I will even trim off a little bit of that Merry die there, but I think that that's going to turn out okay. I definitely could see mixing up this card and putting in some different colors, like maybe using the chip sapphire if that's what you have, but I definitely recommend checking out that new Wilted Violet Distressing. Very pretty. And so with that black border, that's going to be it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more craft tutorials, including using distress inks, you can subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.